Hi, today we're going to demo the front end of our semantic optimized information retrieval system. So this front end primarily interfaces with several web search APIs and the Alchemy API, which incorporates text extraction features. So we're going to start by essentially running a simple query for VLSI. We're going to go with VLSI. This gives a reasonably constrained data set, which will then be processed in the second stage of the system. And I'm going to walk through the results as they are generated from Google Search API, and also the Bing API is very similar, but the Webhost API is a little different, and I'm going to talk about the distinction and also how we compile the final data set. So let's just start the demo. So it's currently pulling a bunch of data from Google. For a start, it's going to begin updating soon as that is retrieved. But what is it pulling from Google? Okay, there we go. It's pulling a JSON where essentially there are various fields we want to extract. We want to extract the URL field, and we want to extract the title field and the snippet field. So the URL fields in particular are stored to their own file, as you're going to see here. Individual URLs are being stored. Now, we then go into the Alchemy Web API. We send the URLs to the text extraction feature, which then retrieves the text. We then combine all of these various segments into a final data set for Google Search. Now, the nice thing about the Webhost API is that it's considerably more direct. It will actually return the text directly. As we can see here, we don't need to go through Alchemy. So we're going to wait for it to get to that. Now, depending on the speed of the internet connection, sometimes this will take longer. This is a very modest connection on campus, but typically this entire routine takes a little more than a minute. So we're just going to wait until the result comes. At the moment, it's still processing for Google, so that's going to take some time. So I might as well talk about a few more specifics while we're waiting here. With Google, we retrieve 100 results by generating 10 pages of 10 results each. Now, these are limitations set by Google themselves, probably to constrain overall use. And with Bing, we can only retrieve 50 results at a time. Additionally, these APIs have various limits set on the number of API calls in a given period. For example, with Google, it's 1,000 API calls a day. And as a result, as we can see, it's updated. It's finished with Google. Now it's moving on to Bing. But the point is, out of these total quotas, we aim to use about 10% of the available quotas with each run. So for instance, we're going to use 10% of each API's quota with this run, including Alchemy. Alchemy also, since we need to send individual URLs in a serial basis to Alchemy, we need to be very careful with the number of our API calls. So when I say Google retrieval is complete, what's actually happened is it's completed 3 stages. The first stage is the retrieval of results from Google itself. The second stage is the extraction of the various fields that are required. And the third stage is the text retrieval. Now, as you can see, the various other stages have followed very quickly. With Bing, it also took some time because we still needed to call the Alchemy API in serial. But Webhost retrieved the data very, very quickly. This is the entire Webhost data set, and we get a large number of highly relevant documents. And finally, what we do is we compile the documents. So the first stage is to simply just put all these together. The second one in there is to eliminate redundancies so that we have a high-quality data set that isn't really messed up. And the final one is to just reorganize it to make it more amenable to the stage 2 processing system. And that involves posting first the first Google article, and then the first Bing article, followed by the first Webhost article. These are, of course, the highest articles, so, the top results, if you will. And then reverting back to the Google article, and so on until we run out of articles. And this just makes it very good for phase 2. So the next part of the demo is going to discuss stage 2.